What about the default market offer? Because Chris Bowen says he's not going to interfere with the timeline, and there's a whole series of milestones that should be public and transparent, even alongside the election process. Now, that will highlight that there are massive cost increases on the way for households. Are we going to see this, or will it be buried?
Look, I really hope, and I'm inclined still to trust that the regulator will do their duty and publish things along the accordant, proper timetable. I should point out, though, that previously in the last year, Chris Bowen, of course, did reach out and try to influence the regulator's decision. He asked them basically to keep power prices low, and the regulator did that by squeezing retailers' margins, which might sound like a good idea to try to squeeze retailer margins, but it makes it harder for new competitors to enter. So it's not a good long-term solution to keep power prices low. So I certainly hope that they follow through and publish all those things, but I'm concerned because that hasn't always happened. For example, the Australian Energy Market Commission should be reviewing the integrated system plan right now, and instead they've basically done a favour for the government by pushing back their own review by a couple of years, as requested by Chris Bowen, which means none of the hard facts about the integrated system plan are going to be published in the lead up to the election as they should.
We also know they're pulling a Swiftie on the 2035 climate targets. I mean, they were set under the Paris Agreement to be on the table by February. I've seen an exchange of letters going from Chris Bowen to the former chair of the Climate Change Authority, setting out the time frame from Bowen to them that he wants them to meet. That included February then. It's now chaired, of course, by a new chair, former Liberal Matt Keane. He's making all these excuses about Donald Trump. I mean, surely we've got to see these new numbers in February, because this will show exactly where the increases over time will come for Australians.
Yeah, I think there's a huge credibility gap opening up here. And the reason I think they're trying to avoid saying anything about 2035 is they've got a massive problem with their targets for 2030. And so at the moment, they've promised Australians, and it's been presented to them, that we are going to soar from under 40% to over 80% in the next 5 years. So what can you possibly promise that looks sensible for 5 years after that? Soaring beyond to 120%? There's simply no credibility left in the government's 82% target for 2030. And so by putting down any sort of interim target in 2035, they can't really do that and make it look sensible without abandoning the target that they've set at 2030, which is really, really a difficult position for the government to be in, because they've basically asked the market operator to treat a political fantasy, which is this 2030 target, as though it's an accomplished fact in all the modelling. And so it'll be extremely difficult now for the government to walk that back and acknowledge what has become obvious, that we simply aren't on track to hit any of those targets for 2030.
Such frank analysis. I love it, Aidan. Thank you.